Now it's time for, drumroll please, going through the papers. We have columnist and journalist Emma Wharf and former Labour Party advisor Matthew Laza in the house.
In the house.
In the house with us today.
This week.
Absolutely, we don't normally get that.
Well,
you can come back.
So yeah, thank you very much. You're very kind.
And all week.
Yeah, and actually,
I'm still smarting about mine.
Yeah. Oh God, don't you two start again. I actually want to start with the big event of the weekend. Lots of you are talking about it, which is the Notting Hill Carnival. It was the Kids' Day yesterday. And today is the main parade. Unfortunately, Emma, we saw, the unfortunate problems that we associate with Notting Hill Carnival.
Well, we saw several serious stabbings. We saw nearly 100 arrests we've seen so far. Today is the Adults' Day, Adults Parade with party vibes. If yesterday was a Children and Families Day, and quite frankly, the things that we saw going on there. Cycling in today, I saw a woman wearing pretty much nothing. She had 3 feathers strategically positioned on her body. That was in the streets of London. 3 feathers. I'll leave you to imagine where those feathers were positioned. I don't know what is family and fun and community inspired about this event.
Well, these pictures look quite nice. It's quite cultured and great costumes.
This is lovely, Ben, but there are also people almost virtually naked doing all sorts on the streets. We've had the stabbings, we've had arrests, we've had assaults on the police, we've had assaults on emergency workers. I really think that we need to look at what is happening at Carnival, what's going to happen today, and why people feel the need to kind of perpetrate this kind of violence and unrest at what should be a fun family event.
Matthew, have you ever been to Carnival?
I think I may have gone as a kid, but I haven't been for many years, partly just because it's obviously there are crimes that go on, but also just the sheer volume of people. One of the problems is it's slightly outgrown the streets of Notting Hill, where it started when Notting Hill was one of the first areas of London that the Afro-Caribbean community, where people arrived from the Caribbean in the 50s, lived in. And I wonder, maybe it would be better suited to go to one of the parks now, so that there's actually more space. Because, I mean, literally, what you see is shops closing because a lot of people are funnelled through what are effectively residential streets, quite a lot of them.
7,000 police officers on duty.
It's interesting. My husband was down there yesterday. He was helping a mate out with one of the sound systems, and he had a lovely time. It was, he said it was very peaceful, it was very calm, it wasn't crowded, people were having a good time. But he got talking to a couple of female police officers down there, and they were saying, yeah, it's lovely today, it's really nice, but it'll be a different story tomorrow probably. And one of them, I don't think she was joking. She said, believe me, none of us volunteered to cover this shift. Okay. I think it's a very hard ask of the police down there.
And Dawn, it wasn't peaceful yesterday, and that was the peaceful day.
No, I'm just telling you the example of somebody was there, eyewitness. Well, what my husband saw was absolutely fine. It was very peaceful. Yes, there were instances going on. I accept that. But as I said, I suspect as the day went on and night fell, things do start picking up.
I think last year it cost the police £11 million to protest, to police over the sort of 3 days.
Yeah.
However,
big whack of money.
It will lose what it's about if you move it to Hyde Park and it becomes like British Summertime Calling or something like that.
Yeah, it becomes much more commercialised if you have to have a wristband and, easier to police, but not the kind of community feel. And that's the balance to get, isn't it? Because obviously it began as a community celebration. In many ways it still is. People do their own floats, etc., don't they?
Yeah. OK, where do you want to go next?
Should we look at the other, talking of bank holiday, things to do on a bank holiday? A lot of people will be heading out after this show is finished, but and hopefully listen to GB News on the radio in the car. But if you're heading to a beauty spot, beware. Illegal sewage spills have occurred in more than 60% of England's areas of outstanding natural beauty last year. New analysis for The Telegraph has shown. So it's on very, very wet days, these releases of sewages are allowed, but it looks like the naughty water companies have been doing it on lots of days that were very far from very wet, and particularly holiday hotspots in Cornwall and the New Forest were hit, as well as others around the country. So more anger at the water companies from campaigners as they keep releasing sewage, and it seems to me that it takes campaigners to actually find out how often they're doing it.
And they're not getting punished, are they? They doesn't seem to be stopping.
Chief Executive of River Action said this shows lawlessness in a broken system. But the thing is, we're an island nation. We're surrounded by water. Surely we can do better than this. There were 450,000 total spills, lasting more than because they measure it for the amount of time the spillage is happening. 4 million hours last year. It's absolutely appalling. And the nicest thing is when you go and you find a really clear river or a lake or a lovely, lovely coastline. Why are we allowing them to get away with this? It's not as though it's been underreported. And the sewage issue is known. These companies are making huge bonuses and paying out dividends to shareholders.
A campaigner in the Action for the River Kennet in North Wessex says that in Wiltshire, children are getting sick from swimming in baths. The worst affected area of outstanding national beauty was Dorset, where there were 149 separate spills on dry days. It just goes on and on and on. I think the anger is that, as you say, Dawn, the water companies seem to be getting away with it. Obviously, their finances of some of them, particularly Thames Water, are in crisis. So, what do you do? And ultimately, of course, it's bill payers who end up footing the bill for water companies' mistakes. So it's not a very cheerful story for bank holiday. But if you are going out, look at the have a quick look at that water before you leap in.
You can't often see what is going on. Sometimes it's obvious. Don't need any more details, do you? But sometimes it isn't. OK, now this is a story that isn't going away. The Kirsty Allsop story about the social workers text. This has been going for like 3 days in the papers now.
Yeah. So this is Kirsty Allsop's 15-year-old son Oscar, who went interrailing with a 16-year-old friend this summer. She was he was actually a few weeks away from his 16th birthday, so as if that makes any difference at all, that magical moment when you turn 16, when suddenly you're an adult and you can, all of that. Anyway, she was contacted by Kensington and Chelsea Social Services by text saying they wanted to talk to her about this. I think people fall into two camps. There are people saying, this is absolutely outrageous, this is a child protection issue, he was only 15, all of that, ignoring the fact that they had mobile phones, they presumably had, credit cards or debit cards, they were absolutely safe travelling around. The other side of it is people like me who just think the social services should be dealing with all the instances around the country of children living in neglect and poverty and domestic abuse situations. There are so many other priorities for social services. And also, as a parent, I know for a fact that you make a judgment about your child. My mum, who had 5 kids, said to me, look, you would have been fine to travel around Europe at 15, but your big brother wouldn't have been ready at 18 or 19. Children are quite different. A 15-year-old can be really, really responsible with a 16-year-old, or they can be utterly hapless, losing their passport and everything the minute they walk out the door. So I think you have to trust parents to some degree to know their own child.
No, I mean, I'm not Kirsty Allsop's #1 fan. She's one of those people, she grates with me a bit on the telly. But I feel a bit sorry for her on this, although I do think she made a mistake by talking about it, because the problem is that social services will think the rules have to apply to everybody, and therefore this is technically illegal. So,
hang on.
So
it's not illegal, it's technically questionable, isn't it?
Interrail passes are available for anyone from the age of 12 to 27. She has done nothing
She's done nothing illegal.
She's done nothing illegal, Matthew.
And she knows her child best. A lad who's nearly 16, as Emma said.
Really close.
I mean, of course. I mean, look, common sense needs to prevail, but sometimes the social services feel they have to imply the rules. They obviously think that there is, illegal is not right, but there's some questions that they need to ask in circumstances like this. Well, so if I was her, I would have kept stum.
Shame they don't do their due diligence where it matters most. The amount of stories
where there are children who are covered in cigarette burns, who have multiple broken limbs, who are not doing.
I mean, social workers have a very hard job. I think that on this occasion they felt forced to do it because of the publicity it got. But hopefully they'll just leave it as it is, and they'll concentrate the resources, as you say.
She's angry because there's now a file open on her child.
Yeah, I mean, it's grim, but she probably should. I mean, if it was on, if the question was if he was 16, it would have been fine. If he's just under 16, it isn't. I would probably have just not talk to the national media about it.
I used to travel to London from Brighton alone when I was 12, 13, 14, by myself.
Me too.
Yeah, I used to travel from London to the northwest as well to see my dad. My parents were divorced, one in 200 miles away.
So you say to the train driver, my kiddo's a bit younger, can you make sure they're okay? And, there's always
Yeah,
You can't mollycoddle kids the whole
no,
time.
I'm pretty relaxed about the lad going on holiday. I just think that number one, he's going to be absolutely fuming at mum, isn't he?
Well, be careful what you put on social media.
Exactly.
If Kirsty hadn't put it out there, to be fair with,
that's my point.
Yeah, and I actually think
that isn't the point at all. That's not the point. The point is social services getting involved.
Well, I mean, you think of cases like Baby P.
Exactly.
Social services
and that's what upsets me.
Looking into cases like that rather than obviously if the 15-year-old.
Hopefully they're not using very many resources to investigate Kirsty.
That's the other
I do
issue.
love Kirsty and Phil's show, though. Am I allowed to say that?
Do you like a bit of property?
Yeah, I like property shows.
Oh.
It always makes you just think, I want to go and buy that one. I want to go and buy that one.
Designs, location, yeah. I don't watch much telly apart from GB News, but
apart from GB News, which we watch constantly.
24/7.
It's very good. It's very
or listen to it when you're not able to watch.
Yes, indeed. Yes, absolutely.